All right.
Yeah, so you guys start it off.
Let's start it off. Well, before we start introing and making it all fun, dude, why did you put me through that this morning?
Yeah, listen, I didn't put you through anything. You decided to add 2 more 45 plates. I was trying to take it easy. I think you were showing off or something. I don't know. But
I had to, man. I had to impress because, like, it really sets the standard for the podcast. You know, I got to show you, like, this guy can work out in the gym. You know, he's not messing around.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you can do 4 plates, then you can do a successful podcast. That makes sense.
That's on leg press, guys, not on bench or anything. So I'm sure most of you could do it too. But hello, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the More Than the Numbers podcast. This is a show where we'll dive into the stories of people overcoming financial insecurity, showing the different paths that people take to become wealthy, and overall just how to live a more purposeful life. So if you enjoyed listening to the show, please show some support, give us a 5-star review, and leave a comment of your favorite part of the pod. Also, please share it to anyone that you know that feels stuck and that needs some uplifting or needs some help to get their finances in order. We're really just trying to help as many people as we can with these stories. God bless all of you, and yeah, just enjoy the show. Today we introduce Hugo Leiva, a real estate agent, Airbnb host, and professional photographer. In this episode, we reflect on the challenges we had of growing up in a low-income neighborhood and the effects that it had on our mindsets. Hugo also talks about what it's really like to be an Airbnb host and how he has grown his photography business over the years. Lots of stories and takeaways in this episode, so make sure to listen to it the whole way through. And without further ado, let's dive right in. Welcome, everyone, to the More Than the Numbers podcast. I have an amazing guest today, maybe the one that I've known for the longest. I maybe was in diapers.
Probably.
When I met this guy, my good old neighbor, we reconnected, I don't know, a couple of months back, and finally just the time is right. Yep. God is good, the time is right. And so welcome, man. Welcome to coming.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. I think it's been 6 months, actually, since we met up. It was at the Golden Road Brewery, I believe.
Has it been 6 months?
I think so.
Damn.
Yeah, this was back in summer.
We were kind of flirting before that, though, right?
I think so, for a little bit.
Like, I was like sending like little like hearts.
You were definitely playing hard to get.
And I was like little smileys here and there. I'm like, dude, maybe we could like rekindle the love that we once had.
And then at some point I kind of stopped caring, and that's when you were like, all right, let's hang out.
I was like, let's just like
that's
start.
Usually how it is.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. but no, bro. So yeah, Hugo Leiva, thank you for coming on. All right, man. And so right now, what's up? Give us a little intro of what you got going on right now.
Oh, man, what isn't going on? A lot is going on. So something new, I just recently got my real estate license.
Hey.
This was back in September. Huge milestone. That's something that I've actually been meaning to do for the past couple of years, and it's just always kind of been put to the side, either because of finances or just life events, but I finally did it. Little plug here, but I actually was the first one to finish the test, and I finished in half the time.
Whoa.
I literally thought that I failed.
Wait, this is from a class?
No, this was for the real estate test when I took it.
No, but I know, but you said, so you finished in half the time with the rest of whoever was in there with you?
Yeah, so basically, it's 150 questions, and they give you 3 hours. And so I finished in an hour and a half. And when I walked out, I was like, dude, I failed this.
You felt it? You failed it?
It was really hard. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty hard. Prior to that, I had studied for like maybe 2 weeks, but like back to back consistently, like every single day, 8 hours. Like I had a ton of flashcards. But yeah, I was in the room, and the first question, I was like, oh my God, this is very hard. And I did my best, finished in half the time, and I was like, I either miserably failed this or I somehow miraculously passed this. And sure enough, when I walked out and she gave me the letter, she was like, oh, you can open this outside the building.
Oh, they do it right then and there?
They do. They gave it to you right there and then, yeah. And so she gave me the letter, and I wasn't going to wait till outside the building. I got into the elevator, opened it, and it was like, congrats. And it was like, wow.
Oh my God. Huge. Thank God, dude. Man, it's just the worst part is like, dude, imagine like having to restudy all this stuff again and go back.
Yep.
Like when I did my NMLS test too, I was just like, during it, you start thinking that like, there's no way I can be doing this again, man. Like,
how many questions is that one?
dude, I don't even know. It was long. It was like 3 hours.
Yeah.
But that one, yeah, it sucked. I made it by like 1 point. But how, did you see you did pretty well on that one?
They actually don't give you, when you pass, they don't give you.
Like, that's kind of good.
Like
I don't want to know,
pass.
dude. Just get me out of here, brother. Let me start the business.
I was so relieved when I passed it. I was like, wow, this is great. But anyways, all that to say is basically I'm a realtor now. I'm with Keller Williams in Beverly Hills.
Ooh, wait, what was that? Where is it at again?
Keller Williams in Beverly Hills.
Oh my God.
It sounds nice, but the fees that they charge are dumb. So I've actually been reconsidering.
No, most of my audience, they're all locals of Beverly Hills. So, you know, if you guys need an extra agent, you know, this is the guy.
Yep. I'm here for you. Yeah. But no, it's they don't really tell you how hard it's going to be after you pass. It's still honestly studying a lot.
Oh, you're still wait, what?
You're still studying because basically when you study for the test, right? It's all fundamentals. But after that, you still got to somehow know the market, you know, where the rates are. You still have to develop personal skills with clients. You still have to study scripts. You have to know which brokerage you want to work for. Mainly, I chose that brokerage because they have an amazing training program, and so I wanted to get up to speed as fast as possible. So that's kind of
Keller Williams, right?
Keller Williams.
Yeah. Is that is it national?
It's a franchise.
Oh, so
it's national.
So they've got, that's pretty good to start off with, because if you were to start off with like an independent one, like who knows what kind of training that you would get, right?
Yeah, some of the more smaller ones, like the boutique brokerages, they don't offer any training program. Yeah, it's mostly for people who have already experience. So you go in there and, you know, kick ass. Commission splits are usually better on that ones too. But
so did you choose to go with, like, was this the whole game plan to go Beverly Hills? Or
I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to tap into the luxury space, just because I mean, that's where the money's at, and to be honest, it's just like kind of the environment I want to be in. Growing up, as I mean, you know, we came from the hood, and so for me, the idea of, you know, luxury always was this like out of reach reality, and I really said in my heart, you know what, like one day I'm actually going to tap into this space, and I'm going to walk with confidence until I do. And
that's crazy. No, that's crazy that you say that, because there are some like for me, when I started working at my first part-time job, I just started buying stuff.
Yeah.
Because you just have the like, it's like the hole that's in there of like, damn, I didn't get to have this shirt. I didn't get to have whatever, like go on the trip. So I'm doing it. And then of course you learn the hard way. That's like, oh my God, you can't be freaking going ham all the time.
Nope. Yeah. I mean, that's how you get into debt. That's how I got into debt, actually. I did a lot of stupid mistakes that I'm still kind of recovering from, but yeah, that's
no, but it's like,
I'm at.
But that's good. I didn't know that was where it came from.
Yeah,
it's making sense.
That's where it came from. But aside from being an agent, I also do photography and videography. So I actually have a company with my wife. We do weddings, engagement, couples, and then I also do real estate photography / videography.
And shout that out, man. So, it's not just, you don't just do it too. I like when I first saw, I'm like, because I heard that you were doing photography, and I looked at it, I'm like, dude, this is not like regular photos. Like, I don't know, you've got a very modern, it's kind of like futuristic and clean, like very
I appreciate that.
Lighting. It's just, it's different, you know? And so I remember like asking you, like, dude, maybe you should do my house, like when I was putting my rooms for rent, and when you told me like, no, yours would be fine. I'm like, no, but like you've got a distinct style that, and you can see it through, you know, your page and profile, and like, so you've got a knack for that. But I remember from back then too, you were always into artsy kind of stuff. So I could definitely see that. So you got the real estate. You're now a new agent in Beverly Hills. You got the photography business. And what else do you guys got?
So I have one more thing, and it's I'm an Airbnb host. So I've been doing that for about 3 years now. I started all this the Airbnb business because one of my cousins, she was in that space with her ex-husband now. But she basically just showed me the numbers, and I was like, holy crap, like these numbers are really nice. And so
what numbers are we talking, man? What, like,
I mean, I can't recall how many units she had, but she was making like 100K.
What?
Yeah. And so I was like, wow, like this is crazy. But obviously I didn't have money. So I was like, how the hell am I going to do this? And so my dad, I was like, telling him, hey, we should get into this space as well. And so it honestly didn't take too much convincing, because obviously he saw the numbers too, and he's like, let's do it.
He's also an agent too. So
he was also an agent too. So he saw the numbers, made sense. And I was like, all right, cool. So we partnered up, got into the whole Airbnb space, and we started with 2 units in downtown Fullerton. It was like legitimately like 10, 12 minutes away from Disneyland. It was really good because we had traffic year round. The only thing is that the apartments that we were in, they were renovated. They were actually really, really nice. But the neighborhood that they were in was pretty bad. And so we kept getting bad reviews, mostly because there was no parking and people throwing parties and just like feeling sketched out. So that went on for about 2 years until we were like, all right, this is like more stress than we want in our lives. And we actually pulled out. But we had 4 up to last month. But now we have 3 Airbnbs running. And I'm still looking for more.
Cool. So, because I'm dumb and I don't know anything about this space, like, how does that make sense? Like, so it's an apartment, but you don't own the apartment, right?
Yeah,
and so explain to me like I'm a freaking psychic.
Yeah. So it's really not that complicated as it sounds, but it's technically, it's called rental arbitrage. And so basically what you do is you go up to landlords and you say, hey, I have this business plan. You have a perfect apartment and I would like to lease it, but I would want to sublease it through Airbnb. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of list some pros and cons. Some of the pros is like your apartment will always be clean. If it's not, it doesn't benefit me. So that's one. You have, security protocols. You screen every single guest that goes in. There's insurance that is placed on behalf of Airbnb. There's a lot of pros. The only, I guess, con, I guess you can say, is that you do have, some bad apples where they do throw parties, they trash the place. But at the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for fixing it, not you. And so it's kind of how we pitched to the landlord of the Fullerton apartment. And he was like, shoot, okay. And he actually was like, we have a second one available. Like, you can take it.
And were you in your head, were you like, man, why is this seems a little too easy, man?
Yeah. So just to give you an idea. So those apartments we were renting, I believe it was like 1700s. And we were coming up with like 35 to 4,000. Yeah. And net, it was about double of what you could have.
Wait, so you were profiting?
Yeah.
About like more than double?
Yeah, double.
That's crazy. But it was just too much work.
It was too much work. And then obviously like with the hospitality, you fully dependent on the reviews. And so the reviews are kind of coming down. And the thing with that is that if you keep getting bad reviews, Airbnb actually shuts you down completely.
Damn.
So we were like, either we pull out of this and kind of, go somewhere else, or we keep going and potentially just like.
Was that the first one? The first Airbnb that you got? Was that, or the first rental?
Couple, yeah.
So, but that was a good learning. Obviously,
it was an amazing learning experience. Yeah, to be honest, I think I can really attribute that whole season of, specifically with those apartments, to the way I've handled stress.
Whoa.
Because and my wife can attest to this, because when I first started, I kid you not, I would get messages like at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., people saying like, hey, I locked myself out, or hey, we need this, totally got clogged. And I would get so stressed out, and it was just like really taking a toll on my body. And I was getting sick like every other week. And I was like, this is insane. And then, through experience, you start to gain callous and you don't stress out as much. So I feel like now I hardly stress out like at all now.
That's good. No, that's always life, man. But so like what were the main issues that they were having, and like how, I know you did more in the future, like what were like some things that you did to kind of like prevent them? Or
I think screening, just being more like, for example, when you're an Airbnb host, you can actually require guests to have reviews, like good reviews, before they book with you. Another one is that they have a government ID, a phone number, email, and obviously their name and a profile picture. So like you can ask all of that prior to them even inquiring.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of protocols that you can do to prevent. There's also this thing called noise aware. It's you literally just plug it into an outlet and it measures the decimals inside the space. And if it peaks at a certain level, you get a notification on your phone indicating that they're being too loud. And so what's it called? Quiet time is anything after 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So after 10 p.m. you get that notification. You're like, hey, you message them. You'd be like, you guys need to.
So what would you say? Like, who's your ideal clientele? Like, if you're trying to rent, like, obviously, like, if it's downtown Fullerton, like, I already know who's coming in downtown Fullerton. We got
it's crazy. Kids. You get it was very extreme. You either get like very nice families that are just like tourists coming into Disneyland, or you get the party people who are literally going to downtown Fullerton or just like want to get like go away and party. And
I feel bad, man, because I mean I think we pulled that a couple times, man. I mean we went to the Drake concert and we rented out the Airbnb. We're like, oh no, it's just gonna be a few friends, you know.
Yeah. Listen, I've been on the other side of it too. I get it, but it's just a headache being a host.
No. So I'm saying from a business, at the end of the day, this is a business. We're trying to make money. So like,
it's also it's just part of it,
right? And so, but that's kind of what you learn. And then families are the thing to do. Ah, okay. So you did that for a couple years. When did you first open up your photography business, or when did you even think to start doing that?
Dang. So this was like honestly when Instagram was first popping off, and I can't even pinpoint the year. But I was a banker back then, and I was still doing college. I was a full-time student, and I was hiking a lot back then. And so I bought this, I didn't even buy it. I think my dad gave me like this Canon T2i. It was like like a basic camera. And so anytime that I would go hiking, I would just go and take pictures. And that was just the thing. And I would post it on Instagram. My whole Instagram was dedicated to like landscape photography.
Really?
And finally I had, it started with the whole, I don't know if you remember this, but the Instagram meetups where it was like kind of like photography walkthroughs.
No, but that's...
Anyway, it was this whole creative movement back then. And basically I joined, a couple of my friends joined too. And we started getting into like portrait photography. And so I was doing that. And then finally I had this friend, her name was Shawnee. And she was like, hey, Hugo, I'm getting married. I love your pictures. Like, would you be interested in shooting my wedding? And I was like, holy shit. Like, I've never done a wedding, but this might be a good, another good avenue to get into.
Yeah.
And so I went about it. I feel like pretty smart because I knew I didn't have the skills, right? I didn't have any.
Did she know that you had skills or no?
I BS'd it. I was like, I'll do it. I'm good.
But she just knew that, like, oh, you kind of.
She knew that I knew photography.
Okay.
And my portraits didn't suck. I would say they were pretty good. But wedding is a whole different thing. And like, mind you, like you can't miss moments. Like that's someone's.
Dude, that's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
I didn't even think about that.
But what I did was I had a couple of friends who were already in the wedding industry, and they've been doing it for like a year or two. Basically, I hired them and I charged as if I was an expert. If she's watching this, she's gonna be so mad. But what's it called? Basically, I charged, and majority of that money, I just literally like hired my friends and they pretty much took over.
Oh.
And so like, I was like a third photographer, but I was like mostly learning from them. But the photos came out incredible, man, and I used it for my portfolio.
However the work came out.
And literally like from those photos, everything came about. And I actually did it. I enjoyed like quite literally like from the very first wedding, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I just kept doing it. Yeah.
That's good to hear because so many people are like, oh, I want to start a photography business or a wedding business. And then you think you have the skills to do it and you don't. You just have to get in, right? Like,
yeah. I think being a guy in the wedding industry was really difficult too.
Oh, yeah.
I think I had a lot of challenges being in that industry, being a dude and being a wedding photographer. Because like, I mean, right? You're freshly engaged. If you're going to hire a photographer, would it be a girl or would it be a guy?
Honestly, I never even thought about
Most
it.
people say girls.
Really?
I'm not kidding. Yeah, most people want women.
I don't know. Wow. No, I mean, well, my mom's a photographer, so it's like I just delegate. I'm like, you find the photographer. I don't know how to do this. Just as long as the pictures come out good.
Which honestly, I don't blame, because women have more of like that tender, caring feeling.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, as opposed to men, where they can be a little more aggressive, and that's just obviously stereotypes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of challenges, but obviously when the clients, when we work together, they're like, oh wow, like you're very gentle but still very kind of like firm with like directing. But yeah, it's been 6 years now since I've been in the wedding industry.
That's good, man. I'm glad that you kept on doing it, and just and the cool thing is that you honestly like it, right?
I love it. I genuinely love it. I think I love it more because I love connecting with people, specifically couples. You actually learn a lot about love, the way they care for each other, their different cultures, and how that, like, how they interpret love. It's really fascinating. I love it.
Yeah. My mom was telling me, because like I said, she's a photographer too, when she sees also the bad side too sometimes of that, like there's times where she'll do family portraits and she's like, okay guys, like everyone come together, like just put your hands over, and it's like people start stiffening up and they look uncomfortable, and it's like you can tell there's like years of suppression of emotion. And just like, and in that moment it's like so awkward and weird, and my mom just like goes full in, because my mom, she's very like caring, and like she knows that she wants them to reconnect, so she'll put on better, like, good music and really encourage them to like, no, see, it's cool.
I think that is what differentiates a good photographer and a bad photographer, right? A good photographer will make the space feel like you don't have to put a mask on. All those feelings, like you said, they just come out in the open, and that's what I feel like differentiates a good photographer versus a bad one.
But have you seen some, like,
and that takes experience though.
So have you seen some like bad, like,
weird
absolutely situations?
I mean, I was there the first couple of times that I did a shoot by myself without hiring anyone else. Dude, I was like, all right, just stand there, and they'd be like just looking at me, and I'd be looking at them like, all right, do something, right? And in my head, I was like, you guys are the ones who were supposed to like pose yourselves. I didn't know that as a photographer. I was really like the one in charge of that.
Yeah, you're like you're like blaming them, right?
I'm blaming them. I'm like, these people suck. They're so awkward. But
dude, that's funny. Yeah. So we're like, look at this, man. You're doing all these different types of businesses. Like, what brought about that entrepreneurial spirit or mind? Like, because you could have just easily, what did you go to school for in Cal State Fullerton?
Dude, so I actually don't know how I got my creative side. I really, really don't. I went to school. I feel like ever since I became a freshman, I just wanted to be a cop. And that was literally like the vision. I went to school for it, went to college for it. I graduated Cal State Fullerton with my bachelor's in administration of justice. And the whole idea was to be a cop, become a detective, and kind of just, climb up the ladder. And that was it. That was my vision for 5 years. And I tried really, really hard. I would apply to, I applied, I think, to a good dozen agencies, and it just never worked out for whatever reason.
Why did you want to become a cop?
I mean, you know me, I was an adrenaline junkie. Now in retrospect, it's probably the best that I didn't become a cop.
Really?
I think I would have put myself in danger unnecessarily. And I think that God was actually looking out for me, because your boy was wild. Yeah. I've tamed down a lot, but I think that being a cop wouldn't have ended up good for me.
So what made you want to go down that? So it's just like you want to get in the pursuits, the chases.
I think for me, like, honestly, it was just always the whole like fight versus flight. That. So for me, whenever, there was danger, and this might sound so silly, but like if one of my friends were getting jumped, I would go help. I wouldn't run the other way. If there was someone on the street that needed help, I would help them. And it was just like this natural instinct that I had, like this inclination to help people regardless of the danger. And so that's kind of what started manifesting in my mind. I was like, maybe I should be a cop. Like maybe this is what I'm meant to do. If it comes so naturally, maybe this is just the path that I'm supposed to take.
Did you think that though, of like, because you were aware at the time of that you were a helper and you like to go, be in those situations? Is that, so you did think that through, or was it just kind of like?
No, I definitely thought it through. But I think I think a big thing too was just that I had so much energy. I had a lot of I actually did like adrenaline.
Yeah.
And obviously being a cop, like, you go through a lot of moments that put you through a lot of adrenaline.
No, definitely. And it's a huge accomplishment, man. I'm really proud of you for all that you're doing right now with your businesses. And then first of all, even just graduating, because, man, where we came from, I mean, I wouldn't have put the best odds on that, right? Like, I know I've introduced the concept before in my other podcast that I'm from Hacienda Heights. But as we were kind of talking where we were eating breakfast, like, Hacienda Heights is kind of known for, like, it's a nicer area, but give everyone the perspective of where we grew up, man.
Listen, we grew up in Hacienda Heights just because that's what it said on our address. But I honestly would say we grew up in La Puente. In La Puente, like, if for those of you who don't know, it's pretty bad, and I think it's still pretty bad. I'm not sure how it is now, but back then it was pretty bad. There was two big rival gangs that would always, be fighting. But we didn't grow up, in the nice area of Hacienda Heights, unfortunately. But it also taught us a lot.
No, yeah,
it taught us a lot.
Yeah. So just to give everyone perspective where we're at, so there's a freeway, and then it's our house is right there, and then there's a back alley right behind our houses where sometimes it'd go down, with these gangs. You can kind of hear it, but we grew up kind of I did at least, insulated by my grandparents who were like really just friendly with everyone, so we never had any issues. But yeah, I mean, you can hear it, like, it's like, are those fireworks or are they not fireworks?
You never know. You never know.
So, do you think that's where you got your mindset about, wanting to, because I know that was for me, I wanted to get out of that. So that kind of made me so aware and wanting to work on myself to just do everything that I can to get out. Is that kind of what you had to do a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, I honestly I can't say that I wanted to necessarily be at a certain place. I just knew that growing up there is not what I envisioned myself in for too long. But yeah, we after we moved from Hacienda Heights / La Puente, we actually moved to Pomona. But it was a nicer area of Pomona. And then from there we moved to and by we I mean me and my parents moved to Diamond Bar. And so once I got to Diamond Bar, that's when I actually experienced the nice neighborhoods. And I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And for the first year it was. But then I got bored. Like, I'm telling you, I felt like I was in a cage. And back then I had a lot of friends in LA. So I would consistently go to LA a lot.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, damn, I think I want to live in LA.
Just because it has there's more energy, there's more movement.
More energy. Ironically enough, I was trying to get away from Hacienda Heights because of all the violence and stuff. But now, being in LA, I'm back in it.
Tell me why the same thing happened to me. So, that motivation, I want to get out. Where did I end up going? Newport Beach. Amazing. It's the ideal place in the world to go to. Best climate. You're right on the beach. But it's so quiet. Kids are they're just walking around the sidewalks, and you could, with their families, but it's different. Like, there's no vibes anywhere. It's so cold. Like, it's too quiet. It's too quiet. Yeah. And so now coming to Santa Ana, I'm like, this is a much better fit for me. Cause it's like, everyone's more festive. They're, and it is what it is. It's more Hispanic culture, and and as a total, I think there's a little bit more flavor, and they're just outside. But we'll take
Santa Ana is a good spot.
So yeah, growing up, man, because we spent a lot of years together, and I have some of my best memories back there where we were at. Even though, and that's the thing about it, about your childhood and where you grew up. There's a lot of joys, a lot of ups and downs. But yeah, so I kind of gave the story about myself, and you remember how it was back in my house. I had my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my grandparents, parents. I lived in the garage. It's where we grew up. So give some context about like what a regular day looked like for us when we were I don't know, 8 to like what? No, maybe even earlier, like 5 to like 14.
Before I get into that, actually, on your previous podcast, you talk about how your garage was like super packed and things like that. I loved your garage, bro.
Yeah.
I remember the first day you got your Macintosh.
Let's go. See, there we go.
Do you remember your Macintosh?
Yes, sir.
Bro, I would die to go into your garage to play that baseball. Backyard
baseball, bro.
Oh my God, dude. Those memories are like out there.
Yeah, and that was the new technology back then. Remember the new Macs? But they were like...
They were so bulky.
Fat like that.
Yeah. They were super bulky. But anyway, circling back to your question. Yeah, I feel like we had very different ways of growing up. I feel like obviously you had your family. I feel like you experienced more of like that wholesome family feel.
Yeah.
And I was more so like, because like my dad, he worked a lot and he wasn't really present. I think at some point he was working like 2 jobs, like, doing his thing. But I mostly grew up with my sister and my mom. Right?
Yeah. I remember that.
So, but yeah, I remember we were poor. We couldn't really go out too much. My dad was working like 6 days a week, and that's when your family like started kind of providing that family like feel that I had truly never experienced.
Really?
Yeah. Like I remember when you guys took me to the zoo.
Yeah.
That meant so much to
pictures.
me. That was my first time at the zoo, I think, or second time.
Yeah.
But no, I remember. And then after that, we went to like this like burger restaurant. It was really, really
no, you
really
dude.
nice.
It was like we just brought you guys along. Like you and Lindsay. We were just like, oh yeah, we're going here. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, yeah.
I will say one thing though. In retrospect, I think the fact that you encouraged my parents to put me in Little League actually like might have saved my life.
What?
Because I feel like I was a very troublesome kid, right? I had a lot of, I feel like complications. Maybe I don't even know if I had some sort of like mental or learning disabilities.
You had like, I would say like you would have like kind of ADHD, like a lot of energy.
Think so. I actually haven't till this day gone to the doctors to see if I have it or not.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I do. Because I really, really struggled in school. And that was like something that I really like felt a lot of shame because I was like, damn, like, am I just dumb? But
yeah.
We'll talk about that mindset. Yeah. But basically, where was I at? What was I talking about?
So we were talking about how we kind of connected with going to different places. and then that you were growing up in that, you were saying that you would lose kind of focus.
Oh yeah, about how your parents encouraged my parents to get into Little League. So so as a kid, I really attribute me getting into sports as an outlet to kind of let all my energy and everything out, and also to form discipline. I truly think that all the discipline that I have today comes from me being in sports.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if I wouldn't have got into sports, like if your parents wouldn't have influenced my mom or my dad, I don't know who it was, but I don't think they would have ever put me through anything. And I feel like I would have just gone and got myself in trouble.
Well, we know our neighbors. Well, we were just talking about it. We don't want to get into specifics, but like easily we could have fell into that had we just not been pushed a little bit in the direction of like school or sports. Because how easy was it just to walk outside and like, oh, like another friend?
No,
and
super easy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like even after like in high school, I would I had what's it called, sports right after school, so I didn't have too much time on my hands to kind of do things that I would have got in trouble for.
Yeah.
I do remember getting into skating, and skating I really do attribute a lot to like, helping me with building, I don't know, like friends, but also like it was an avenue for me again to just like put my energy into.
Yeah, practice, get better. Yeah. I remember you loved to skate, and you were always around the block skating. well, we did everything, like scootering too, bikes, but I remember skating was something that you did for a long time. I suck at those sports, so I mean, I tried it, but like I would always be left behind and you guys would just be way ahead. I'm just like,
Your thing was basketball. You were always really good at basketball. Yeah. And that's the one sport that I suck at.
No, but I do remember we were on the same team in baseball, man. My dad was the coach.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. And actually, like a lot of those kids, I remember, like they actually got really good in baseball.
Really?
A lot of the kids that were on that specific team. Like, I remember this guy, Moises, Carlos. They went out because I kept on playing, right? And then were like the top players each time. But we all kind of sucked. I think we were like the last place team. But
we were terrible.
Yeah. I mean,
what were we? The Cardinals?
The Dodgers.
Dodgers.
We were the Dodgers first, and then you either first or I remember you were the Cardinals, but you were also on my Dodgers team too.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember that famous photo where we have it's like the name, our last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I also wanted to kind of, briefly touch about the whole mindset thing.
Yeah. Well, dude, we can't just get from where we were to finish high school, and then of course go to college, start businesses. If we had the same mindset, you definitely cannot get anywhere like that. So yeah, give us some like context on what you had to go through with that.
Oh man, yeah, no, like I mentioned before, school was a big struggle for me. I really had a hard time with it, but it wasn't honestly until community college where I started kind of shift my mindset, and I think it comes from me kind of finding faith and like finding God, and that really grounded me and kind of put things into perspective. I feel like college was kind of that pivotal moment in my trajectory where I was like, you know what, maybe I should start taking myself seriously and like doing things that I would actually put me in a better course than what I'm on right now. Because obviously, like back then I was like trying to be a cop. Yeah. And that, like I said, that was a vision for like 5-6 years, like consistently. But I did pretty good in college. I wasn't a straight A student. Yeah. But if you compared my grades from high school, first of all, I don't even know how I graduated high school. What'd you have? What's the GPA? I'm sure someone, bribed the principal or something. I don't know how I graduated. It was like 2.2, something like that. I don't know. Oh, wow. But
were you trying though or no?
I was trying to the best of my abilities.
Oh, wow. So, okay.
But I like I said, I got distracted very easily with homework. I didn't have too much help at home. But yeah, like I said, college really, I was like, all right, let's actually take this to the next level. And yeah, I became studious AF. And yeah, I started really loving to learn. Yeah. And I remember at some point too, I was like dating this girl and she was huge on reading. And what's it called? I was like, dude, how do I get this girl to like me? And I started reading like random books and I would skim through them. And surprisingly, like I would retain all the freaking information. I was like, holy crap, this is what I needed.
It's always girls that motivate, man.
Yeah. And so that didn't last too long, but luckily what lasted long was my love for books. And so
what kind of books were you reading?
Oh man, I was reading a lot of novels because that's what she was into. But I started getting into business mindset.
Oh, so that's
entrepreneurship. And so that's when I was like, oh, okay, like this might be actually like what I can do. And obviously photography was what I was doing as well. So I was like, maybe I can do this as an actual business. And I started shifting my mindset, started becoming more entrepreneur. And yeah, that's kind of like how everything went about.
What do you remember a specific book that really made your mindset shift or change of like, oh, this is something I want to like start tapping into? Like, for me, it was like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I just remember I read that book and forever my life was changed after that. I kind of saw things differently.
I think mine was a book by Carol Dweck. It's called Mindset, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
But that book really helped me because it talked about how putting effort pretty consistently drives results. So it can be a little effort every single day, but as long as you're consistent, you'll see results.
It's all about the mindset, right? That was interesting that concept. I think I forget who it was that's really big on that. Tom Bellew, I think, the
I'm not familiar.
CEO of Quest. Well, he has like a big podcast, and his big thing is like growth mindset. It's not even about the results right now. It's just about, I can get better at this thing. So if you can get better at this thing and you just put in enough time, enough consistent effort, it's gonna happen regardless. So I was like, that kind of opened me up too, of like, because sometimes we feel so confined to time limits of like, oh, if I don't get this done in, I don't know, 2 years, if I don't graduate in college in 4 years, I'm not successful. But it's like, no, like, time is such a,
I think it's a dangerous thing. I think a lot of us, and it's natural, I feel like, for us to just kind of put our identity to the outcome of things. Mostly all of us, want to make more money, and we see, ourselves at a certain status, and we become so obsessed with this outcome where our identity starts just becoming that. And if we don't reach it, or we don't feel like we're moving closer to that, our identity starts to crumble. And we start to ask ourselves, man, am I good enough? Will I ever get there? But in reality, it's like the person who you are becoming to get there is actually more important than the outcome. So I think that's an important thing that we have to take in mind, is just like really disassociating ourselves from the outcome, even though that is a vision, but like not being so obsessed with it.
That's a really good tip right there. So it's kind of just chipping away a little bit at that best version of yourself, right? And not having too much pressure on getting it done. Yeah,
it's just like have the big picture in mind, but also like break it down into tiny steps and kind of just focus on those tiny steps day by day. And eventually that outcome will come, right?
Yeah.
But you won't be so stressed out about like, oh damn, like I'm not there yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was like one thing about your mindset that you really took you a lot of time, and maybe you still are working on it now, like that you like constantly have to, change your thinking on, or something?
What I just said.
Oh, is it that what it is?
What I just said. Yeah. I think for me, I am really comfortable, and I can truly say this now. I feel really comfortable with who I am and my identity, regardless of how much money I have in my bank account. But back then, like everything was how I felt, how confident I felt. Everything was so intertwined with my bank account.
Really? Where do you think that came from?
I mean, I feel like it's normal. I feel like a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Right. And, but yeah, I can have a negative account and I'll still feel good.
That is, well, I think that is like one of the most powerful things ever, because in reality, right, if you really, really think about it, your bank account, it's literally just something that you're looking at on your app. And it's like, it's kind of imaginary, man.
Yeah.
Like it's all like an imaginary number that's there. And it's just a feeling that you get of like, oh shoot, now I got to work. But
yeah,
it is crazy to think about. That's like a next level of thinking of probably what these like successful, really, really successful like business, because they, it's about how much you can stomach this volatility of ups and downs. And that's why I'm really, really interested in the entrepreneurial mindset and that style, because it's like a life teacher too, right? Not only is it teaching you about business, but you're learning about life, because, whether or not you get ups and downs, you're still building towards that best, person that you're trying to become.
Yep.
But man, I didn't know that. But specifically, like something that hit you was the bank account, where you're like, oh shoot, like
yeah, when it was low, man, I'd be walking with my head down, my tail between my legs, and I just like almost like to like a depressive state, and it was really, really bad. And I would do a lot of self-doubt. But yeah, no, it's just like,
that's cool. It's actually not as common as you think. You know why this? So I've been a loan officer for the past 3 years. I mean, what do I do for a living? I look at people's credit reports. I look at people's income. So there's a lot of people who have no problem walking around with $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 worth of debt, whether that's student loans, and they're still trying to get more loans to buy more cars. And this is a common thing.
That's crazy.
So it's not. That's actually, I think, could be a strength of yours, that you recognize that it's not, it's something that you need to work on. Obviously, you don't want to have a bad mindset about it, but I think it's something you want to be aware of, because so many people, they suppress it and they're just like, I'll figure it out later. Yeah. And it's just like compounds.
I think there's extremes to everything. Obviously, what
Yeah.
I just said, if you take that to the negative, like obviously you're going to take on all these that you're like, oh, I'm chilling. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like, don't let your identity be so fixed on your bank account. Obviously, you can look at your bank account and have perspective like, maybe like I need to cut back on some expenses.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to, get a side hustle to pay for this.
Yeah.
But don't be so obsessed with it. You know what I mean? Because that really, really messes with your mind.
No, I think you're exactly right. It's all about having a healthy relationship with it, right? And so that's what it seems like you've grown into, of like you have a healthy relationship or working on a healthy relationship with that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you really had to work on for your mindset to help you get to the next level in different parts of your life? Like whether that was because now you moved to LA, you're living in an apartment, you're married. These are like a lot of big life accomplishments. Was there anything else that you had to work on in that aspect?
As far as mindset goes?
Mindset or anything?
I think it's honestly just an ongoing thing. I think there's like every season something comes up where it challenges my mindset, it challenges my discipline, who I am as a person. And it's just like, it's just an ongoing thing. I don't think, it's just always going to, it's just always going to be there.
Looking for improvement.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah, man.
So if you were to look back at your past self, like in, whether you were in high school, like what kind of advice would you tell yourself back then to do?
That's a great question. Oh man, put me on the spot.
Yeah, man, this is it. We come with the bangers here, man.
I think if I was like standing next to you,
you're
younger
just
me, and
you just go open the door real quick. You see him playing on the computers, and he's like, "Oh, what's up?" And you're just like, "What would you tell him to do?" Like now that you have more experience and you've lived through a little bit more.
This one's kind of hard to say because I do feel like, and for the longest time, I feel like I had this like a regret or thought process that I wanted for myself back then, and it was. I got into the creative space and as being a photographer, but I wanted to get more into like getting into the film industry or like just like being in the creative space. And I think that kind of put me back a little bit because I feel like if I would have gotten more into the business, like business side of things and taking it like more serious, I feel like I'd be in a different place now. But I say it's tricky because I think that in retrospect, that whole season taught me a lot. But I think I would say don't waste too much time on things that are like superficial and that don't really fulfill you. Because I think that I was doing a lot of things to try to be hipster and cool back then.
Yeah.
And even though I knew that wasn't really my nature. Yeah. So I was pretending for a very long time when I could have listened to my dad like freaking 10 years ago. And he's always told me, get your real estate license. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be like you. Here I am. So if I would have listened to him, I would have just been more experienced by now. But it's hard to say because obviously in retrospect, things happen for a reason. Yes. But I think that's what I would tell my younger self. Just like maybe don't be so obsessed with pleasing other people or trying to stand out.
So maybe like cool. Building more confidence in yourself.
For sure.
Learning more about yourself and being okay with your own skin and liking the things that you like, right? Yep. That's like, man, I got goosebumps right now because I think like I'm constantly working on that with doing this. It feels weird. It's like you're like, what are people gonna think? Oh, like who do you think you are? Or like you can't give advice or whatever. And it's like, I'm just doing what feels right. And sometimes like that at the end of the day, that's more powerful than millions of dollars in the bank, bro. Right?
1,000%. And that's I don't know if you've read The Wealthy Way by Ryan Pineda.
I haven't.
Such a great book. It actually talks about that, how we sometimes, where are we at with time, by the way? I have no idea.
I don't know. What time?
1:53. 12:53.
Okay.
We're good. It talks about how most of us think being wealthy means having a lot of money, being well off, not have to worry about finances. Yeah. But he talks about how a lot of people that he knows that have tons of money, but their marriage is in shambles. They're doing drugs. They're partying here, like left and right. And that's not really living, right? That's not being wealthy. Being wealthy is having like a solid group of friends, having family in your corner, having your wife or your partner, whoever like that loves you and like supports you. Those things matter more than money, right? And I think that is true wealth. And I think that's something that I constantly have to remind myself, because I do struggle sometimes with like, wanting more, and I'm very competitive by nature. And I not everything comes from sports, but I'm always trying to see how much more I can improve. But then I have to kind of remind myself constantly, hey, slow down. You know what I mean? Like you already are wealthy. You're just trying to gain a little bit more, a little piece of what wealth means, but you are already wealthy. You have a roof over your head, freaking therapeutic mattress. Come on.
Yeah. You got a Tesla outside.
Yeah. I got a Tesla.
No. Yeah. You forget, cause we become so accustomed to just what our living, and we're just like, we forget to be grateful of like, hey, we're still alive. We're still, doing these things. And that's exactly why I think I really wanted to start this podcast too, is because especially where we're at in our, in the areas that you live, right? So in near Beverly Hills, a lot of it's just attributed to just money and status, I'm sure, right? But they don't understand that, there's wealth in other ways that, and sometimes people they learn it when it's too late, right? Like they got no relationships. You just said it. Sometimes the marriage is in shambles. Yeah. So that's, I think, the strength that we have of not coming from that, that we have the chance to develop those other gaps. So
1,000%. Yep.
So good. So we went deep in. We got, man, I've been getting like bringing me back all these memories, bro. But now looking forward, right? So what's the ideal? Well, where do you want to see yourself? In let's not put a time limit on it, but just in the future, like what do you want to become?
I like that. I think I want to walk my life with absolute gratitude, like literally like day by day, just being grateful and living truly happy, regardless of what my circumstances may be. Obviously, superficially and materialistically, I want to have money enough for me to support my family, invest into my friends. Most of my friends have business ideas. I would love to support them.
Yeah.
I'm a little claustrophobic, so I love the idea of having a big ass house instead of a little apartment. I think I want a big house. I'm not really big into cars. I think I'm pretty happy with my Tesla.
Yeah. Well, I'm up to Tesla, man. No, but I get you. You don't need to have no Lambos or crazy stuff.
I don't even know if I answered your question. I think just living life with gratitude. And continuing to work towards my vision.
Yeah.
But not being so.
What's the vision?
I think tapping as an agent, tapping into the luxury space, and then truly being an expert and actually helping people. Like not just be focused on the money, but actually like helping people. I love connecting with people, so it would be really cool that once I'm in the luxury space, I can start connecting with people globally. There's a couple of realtors that I follow, and they're just like constantly traveling. Most of their deals come from like outside of the United States. So fascinating to me. I think that's really cool.
What do you like about luxury though?
I love the luxury space because it comes with a mindset, right? So if you took little Hugo back in La Puente, Hacienda Heights, La Puente, and put him into a space that was luxury, he wouldn't understand it. He wouldn't.
I still don't get it. So like what?
Okay. So if I gave, an average Joe, right, $2 million, do you think that he would be able to multiply, or you think he would go and waste it on that? That to me is what luxury means. It means being able to be in this space, but being so intelligent where you can invest the money and not lose it. It comes with a mindset.
It's a mindset thing. See, because that word luxury, I think, brings about different connotations to different people.
Yeah.
To me, I have a bad connotation with it, which is a bad relationship too. Of just, I attribute that with like unrelatable people that are snobby and rude and just care about themselves. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It is when you're buying something that's luxury, you're buying something that's of good quality, right?
And it comes with status, right? And unfortunately, like, you got to play the game, if you really want it, and sometimes that means being shallow a little bit. Don't let it compromise your character. But there's this great novel that I absolutely love. It's called The Red Rising.
Yeah,
and it follows this is it protagonist, antagonist?
Protagonist is the main guy, right? Antagonist is the
evil
rival.
Protagonist. And he and this takes place like in outer space. It's like this whole hierarchy that's takes place in different planets and whatever. He's from Mars, and he's a what you would call a blue collar worker.
Mm-hmm.
But what's it called? He works his way all the way up to the elites. But his whole thing is that he's faking it and being one of them in order to change the system within, so that he can help his own race. And so, like, I feel like I'm kind of in a similar path where I have to really fake it until I make it in order to change my whole lineage, like my kids, my grandkids. Like,
yeah,
what I'm doing, what you and I are doing today, is changing the course of their lives, even though we can't see it.
Yeah, I agree.
But like, if I am to get into this luxury space, like I said, like, I can truly like change their whole mindset and teach them things that I wouldn't have been able to.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
But I also think too, besides you helping out your kids and family, I think what a very strong suit that you're going to have is perspective, because you can play the game of the luxury space, but at the same time, when they get to know who you truly are, they're going to be like, whoa, there's so much more than just that.
Superficial.
Exactly. And that'll, that goes back to our title, more than the numbers, guys. So see, it all relates back.
Perfect ending.
But yeah, man, this was an amazing show, bro. I'm really happy you came on, and thank you for being so supportive with not only this, but like just we have our continuous networking events, meetups, and you're offering to help with the editing on this thing too. So we're going to keep growing, bro. We're going to keep killing it, man.
One of many.
Yeah.
One of many. And I'm really excited. I mean, this is really cool that you're taking this whole project on. I know it can be, full of fear and like obstacles, but I mean, just stay at it. Stay consistent.
We'll keep going, man. Yeah. So like and subscribe. 5 stars, you guys. So yeah, that'll be it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Cool, man.